You are in the world. Welcome to this week's IELTS webinar. We're going to be focusing on two specific reading test task types, matching headings and summary completion. Let's get my introduction out of the way first. My name is Yasser. I'm a teacher trainer with the British Council. Taught in many parts of the world, but I'm currently in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. First off, guys, thank you so much for introducing yourselves, and more importantly, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us. We have people here from literally every corner of the globe, A to Z, Argentina to Zambia, and it's wonderful that we can interact like this every week. A couple of things I wanted to do before we start. The first is to introduce you to my amazing team, the people I would not be able to do this without. We call I'm not sure if we call ourselves or you guys named us, but we're the IELTS Avengers. Basically, like the Marvel Avengers or superheroes, Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, Thor, Spider-Man. We're like IELTS superheroes. So we have Layla in London, Louisa in Paris, Mariana is in Zagreb, Croatia, and Aiden is in Wales. So you can say hi to them in the chat box. They're going to be helping me throughout the webinar. The second thing I would like to do is ask a few questions about your relationship with the IELTS test and our webinar series. So could I get the first poll question up, please? So guys, if you can see the poll, please put your answers there. Otherwise, I'll read the questions out. Have you taken an IELTS test already? Yes or no? And what score do you need? So very quickly, if you can see the poll, put your answers there. Otherwise, in the chat box, please. Have you taken the test already? And what score do you need? Can I see the results, please? So 20% of you have. Maybe you need to take the test again to get a higher score. But 80% of you haven't. So it's going to be your first and hopefully last time. Hopefully you're only going to need to do it once. And generally, as usual, you guys need a 6 and above. I think there's going to be something useful for everybody in today's. Could I get the second poll question up, please? You guys are also curious about whether you've attended one of our webinars before. Remember, we do run these every Thursday. So could you let us know if you've attended one of our webinars before? Again, yes or no. In the poll, if you can see it, otherwise let us know in the chat box. And how did you hear about our webinar series? Maybe through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, through the British Council, either the website or an email, a friend or family member maybe possibly told you about them. Somebody from your school. So we'd appreciate if you'd let us know. And can I see the results, please? So a huge, overwhelming majority, 66% have. So a massive welcome back. I would like to think, I hope we're doing something right and that you're finding these useful. 34% of you, this is your first and hopefully not last webinar. Remember, we do run these every week, so it'd be awesome if we could see you again next time as well. And generally, you guys have heard of our webinar series through either a British Council email or the website. And one last question, guys. When you register, you should also have received a link to the British Council IELTS study pack. I'll explain what the study pack is in more detail towards the end when we look at resources. Right now, I'd just like to know if you received the link or not. So again, if you can see the poll, great. Otherwise, in the chat box, just let me know if you've received the study pack, the link to the study pack, and if you got the chance to use it. Also, have you found it useful? Hi, Natalia. Nice to have you back again. Can I see the results, please? So close to 70% of you have. That's great. 33% of you haven't. Don't worry, Marianne is going to pop the link into the chat box right now, and she'll also sort of put the link in towards the end as well. I would encourage you guys to use it. I think it's extremely useful resource to start preparing on your own. As you can see, the people who use it have either found it useful or not. Awesome. Let's very quickly go over the information about today's webinar. As usual, 60 minutes with some time for questions at the end. We try to make our webinars very interactive, so please use the chat box, the box used to introduce yourselves. Please use that to respond to me. This is what the icon looks like. You might have noticed you're not able to see anybody else's response because of the number of people attending. We've had to limit the chat settings, but don't worry, the Avengers and I can see all of your responses. If there's a question that you would like to ask, please put it in the Q&A box, and one of the Avengers will be more than happy to answer for you, or we might save it and answer it towards the end. But guys, just to recap, when I ask you something, chat box. If you want to ask something, please put it in the Q&A. It might not be possible to answer everyone's questions, so if you see one that's similar to yours, please like it. That'll help us to prioritize which questions to answer. As usual, this webinar is being recorded and Zoom will email you over the next 3 days with the link. If you have any questions about your specific test booking, guys, the best people to get in touch with would be the ones at your local British Council Test Centre, because they'll have the most up-to-date information. And as usual, we take data protection very seriously at the British Council, so please do not share phone numbers and personal information. And you guys always are and always have been, but I'm legally obligated to say this. Please be courteous at all times, otherwise you may be excluded from the webinar. All right, guys, let's take a look at what we're going to focus on today. We're very quickly going to look at how we can visually identify two task types, figure out the challenges of dealing with a longer text. Ella, could you put your question in the Q&A, please? Figure out the challenges of dealing with a longer text. Look at strategies for two task types, matching headings and summary completion, Q&A, and then research. So again, it might not seem like a lot, but we do have a lot to get through because we're going to be practicing a lot. We're going to have a lot of different practice questions. Monica, yes, this session is helpful for both general training and academic because the task types come in both academic reading and general training. So guys, could you please let me know if you're ready? Because we do have a lot to get through and it helps if everyone is ready. Good, awesome. Everybody seems to be ready, great. Oh, I wish the rest of my class was very enthusiastic. All right, let's start off, guys, by visually trying to identify these two task types. So do you see two sets of questions on your screen? What is the one on the left in the green box? What do we call this task type? Hi, Shuko. What do we call that task type that you just set of questions? In the green box. Excellent, Chef, sounded right. This is matching headings, very obvious. You see a list of headings, you need to, and then the sections or paragraphs underneath. What about the one on the right? The blue box is summary completion, right? Again, it's a good idea to be able to visually identify task types. So once you get the paper or you're doing it on computer, you're able to instantly figure out what type of question you are dealing with. These are the two questions we're going to look at today. And we're going to start off by looking at matching headings. Now, this is, guys, what do you have to do in matching headings? You'll see the instructions up on your screen right now. Basically, as the name suggests, you have to match the heading to either a paragraph or a section. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I do this in my class, in most of my classes, this is one of the task types most of my learners struggle with. And because it's happened in a number of classes, I was curious and I asked my learners, what do they find most challenging about this type of question? And these are some of the responses that I got. So let me know if you recognize any of these challenges or problems. There's not enough time to read everything. The text is quite long. Another group said that there's a lot of unknown vocabulary. One of my learners said the options are sometimes too similar. And the fact that there are more options than you need. And one group said all of the above. But guys, do you recognize any of these challenges? Monica saying A and C. Gabriella saying C. The options are too similar, right? Some people are saying all of them. Good. Now, what we want to do, hopefully, is figure out a way for you to overcome these challenges. And sort of, I think a lot of issues test takers and learners have with matching headings is they scare themselves. They tell themselves that it's very difficult and they're not able to do it. So what we want to do is help you overcome that hesitation and figure out a very useful and effective strategy to do it. A lot of you are saying, hey, there's not enough time to read everything. And I think that links to one of the challenges people face is that they feel the pressure of time. And like my learner said, that there's not enough time to read everything. And I think the simple way to sort of overcome that challenge is realize that you don't have to read everything. What is the purpose of reading in a test, any test, or specifically the IELTS test? What is the purpose of reading for the test or in the test? What is the only purpose of reading in the IELTS test? It's to find the answers, right? So what we want to do is figure out a way to locate the parts of the text that contain the answers and just read those parts. There's no extra benefit to reading everything. We just want to find the parts that are related to the answer. You can't write at the bottom, P.S. I read the whole passage. The markers, they don't care. They just want the answers. But because test takers feel the pressure of time, it feels like they're climbing a mountain because they put so much stress on themselves. And the text, which can be long, then looks like it's in a... Does this look like English? Does this look like English? What you see on your screen right now? It's not. So it seems like it's in a foreign language. I think it's Greek. I don't know if it makes any sense, but it looks like... So it looks like it's a different language. And when this happens, what happens is they feel frustrated. So what we want to do is, like I said, figure out a way to overcome that time pressure, read systematically, read efficiently. Once we're able to do that, it will become less of a arduous task, less like you're climbing a very steep mountain. And then eventually this will remove that. Once you practice, it will remove that feeling of frustration. Now, Sarah conducted an amazing webinar on reading skills and how we can read more efficiently and systematically. And some of you guys are mentioning some of the things that we can do in the chat box. So the first one is to survey, which means trying to figure out what the passage is about based on the title, based on maybe a diagram that you might see, and thinking about the number of paragraphs. So guys, we're going to look at paragraphs from a passage entitled Beneficial Work Practices for the Keyboard Operator. So what do you think, based just on the title, what do you think this passage is going to be about? Who do you think they're talking about, keyboard operators? Let me know in the chat box. Computer users? Excellent, good. And what are some people who use computers? Gabriella saying work environment, typists, exactly. What are some beneficial work practices you think would be helpful for keyboard operators? What do you think? Let's come up with some ideas before we start reading. What are some of the beneficial work practices? Maybe related to health. Francis saying adjustable chairs, physiotherapy, regular exercises, wrist exercises, sitting position. Sorry guys, the names are going really fast. Deborah saying ventilation, Shara saying frequent breaks, typing games, or ergonomic chairs, ergonomic practices. Perfect, guys. So we have, even before we started reading, we've come up with so many different ideas. Now, let's look at the other reading skill after surveying. But before we do that, I think it's extremely important for you guys to, it might sound very basic, but it's very important for you to understand what is being tested using this task type. When they say matching headings, what is the test actually assessing? What skill is it checking? Now, what is the purpose, guys? What do they want to test when they use this task type, matching headings? You have to match the headings to the paragraphs. So what are they checking you're able to extract from the paragraph? Exactly. Some of you are saying it in the chat box, the main idea or the central idea. How many central ideas does a paragraph have? Every paragraph has how many central ideas? Only one. If there's a new central idea, there will be a new paragraph. So this is what matching headings is used to test, whether you're able to understand and extract the central idea. It's almost like you're giving the paragraph a title. That's what the heading is. The heading is like a title for the paragraph. And obviously the title is going to be related to the central idea. But we want to figure out a way to find this central idea as quickly as possible. Now, one way to do this is using one of the skills somebody just mentioned in the chat box, skimming. Skimming is a way to read quickly to try to figure out the central idea. And you can do this by skimming. The main purpose is to try to locate what is known as the topic sentence. What is the topic sentence? What does it mean? What do we mean by the topic sentence? What do we mean by the topic sentence? Some of you are saying it's the first sentence. There's a very high probability that it's going to be the first sentence. But what is it though? Kumar is saying the thing that explains the main idea, that describes the central idea. That's exactly what it is. Deborah saying the subject of the paragraph. Perfect. And one quick way to look for it is to read the first sentence. Now that's exactly what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I'm going to show you a paragraph, and I want you to read just the part that is highlighted. I'm going to give you 15 seconds to do this, and let's see if that's enough to figure out the central idea of that paragraph. All right? Is everybody ready? I want you to read the sentence quickly and also pay attention to the keywords. This is your paragraph. Read that sentence, 15 seconds. I'm going to try to shut up. Your time starts now. Let me know when you're done, please. Five seconds left. All right, time's up. Guys, can we try to figure out what are the keywords? When you're doing this, you could write them down in the margin, but what are the keywords? Sensible work practices, important factor, prevention. But prevention specifically of what? Muscular fatigue, discomfort, excellent, and pain in the arm. What are these things? What would you call these things? Muscular fatigue, discomfort, pain in the arms. What would you call them collectively? Health hazards, health problems. Okay, good. Symptoms. Good. That's excellent. Now, now that we've thought about that, let me show you the headings. So I want you to think. We've sort of determined what the central idea of this paragraph is: health issues, health problems, symptoms. Now let's look at the headings and see if you can match what we came up with. You'll see the sentence up on the right-hand corner. Does it connect to one of the headings that you see on the left-hand side? I'm going to give you 10 seconds to do this. And then I'm going to put, let's try to do this as a poll question. Can I get the first poll question up, please? So think about everything that we just looked at, we identified, and if you can see the poll, please pick the correct Roman numeral. Otherwise, you can put it in the chat box. So remember, muscular fatigue, pain in the arms. Excellent, Anisha. Firawat, great. Salma, excellent. I'll give you guys maybe 10 more seconds. Felix, great. Guys, remember, please put your answers in the chat box, not the Q&A. I cannot see the Q&A. Can I see the results, please? Guys, if you can see the poll, I'd rather you put your answers there. So 62% of you have picked 6, and almost everybody in the chat box has picked 6 as well. Let's check. So remember, we talked about muscular problems, muscular fatigue, discomfort, and pain. And we said that was related to common health problems. Exactly, and that's what we see right here. So the correct answer is 6. So great job, guys. Now, because we just read that first sentence, we figured out the topic sentence. Did it not jump out at you when you saw these options? It's very clear that that's what the link was. And we only had to read the first sentence. Now, guys, now that we've picked 6, what is one important thing that we need to do before we move on? Before we move on, what do we need to make sure we do? Because we've already picked 6, exactly, Francis, cross it out. Why do we need to cross it out or eliminate it? Why is that important? Why is it important to cross it out? So you don't get distracted, exactly. So you don't choose it again by mistake. Perfect job, guys. Good. So let's look at what we did in terms of this strategy. We read the topic sentence. We identified keywords in those topic sentences, in the topic sentence, and then we matched those keywords with those in the heading. Now, did it say muscular fatigue, discomfort, pain? Did it use those exact words? Did it use those exact words? No, but we were able to link the idea. So sometimes we might have to look for the synonyms or the same idea. And once we did that, we eliminated the option that we chose. Great job. So one other thing besides identifying the keywords in the topic sentence is also being able to identify the keywords in the headings. So that's how you're going to make the connection or the link. So I've shown you an example here, how reflection problems and avoided. So we're looking for the content words, or the words that carry the meaning. Guys, can you help me with the second one? What are the keywords in the second option? What are the keywords in the second option? In number 2, exactly. How long, work without, and a break. Excellent. The third one, experience, problems, great. And the last one, when, best time. And guys, sorry, the names are going really fast. Deborah saying, and filing chores. Great job. Now, guys, just in the interest of time, I've highlighted all the keywords in the headings to make it easy because I wanted to focus a little bit more on the practice. Now, we were able to answer that question just by reading that first sentence. But there's one thing you do need to keep in mind with matching headings and actually every set of IELTS questions is they're not the same level of difficulty. And this is something I think learners and test takers don't actually think of. They're not the same level of difficulty, which means what? Some questions might be easy, but some questions might be what? Some questions are on the easier side, some questions are on the more difficult side. And that's how they figure out what your score is going to be. So there might be situations where some of it, when we do matching headings, some of the paragraphs, they'll be easy. You just need to read the first sentence. But sometimes it might not be enough to read the first sentence. So in that case, what's the next option? We still want to read as little as possible. So what do you think the next option is? Excellent, Isa. The next option is to read the last line, which usually summarizes what that paragraph is about. So that's exactly what I'm going to ask you to do now. I'm going to show you another paragraph. This time I want you to read the first and last sentence. I'm going to give you 20 seconds. And again, pay attention to the keywords. Is everyone ready? 20 seconds, first and last sentence. Let me know once you're done. I'm going to try to shut up again. 20 seconds starting now. Five seconds left. All right, guys, time's up. What are the keywords in that first sentence? Or let me ask you another question. Who is the first sentence about? Who is the first sentence about? Vital, employer, exactly, right? And what about that last sentence? Who's the last sentence about? Which group is the last? Excellent. So how many groups are we talking about here? How many groups are we talking about here? 2 groups, employers and operators. Good. Now let me show you. Now that we figured that out, let me show you the options again, and let's see how quickly you can find the answer. Let's see if there's one option that jumps out at you. So again, you have the two sentences up in the right-hand corner. I'll give you 10 seconds before I put up a poll question. All right, can I get the poll question up, please? Excellent, Natalia. Thank you. Great job in the chat. I'll give you guys 10 more seconds. And can I see the results? So again, almost 61% of you have picked 8, and almost everybody in the chat box as well. All right, let's break it down. So remember, we identified that the fact that employer pays attention and operators do not. So why did you pick 8? Because it doesn't say employer. What does it say though? It talks about roles and it talks about management, which is a synonym for employers. And what about operators? Workers. So we have the two groups that we identified. We found them in the headings. So that is in fact the correct answer. Excellent job, guys. Again, what should we do before we move on? Cross it out. Great job. Again, let's try to the first choice is always just to read the first sentence, and hopefully that's enough to find the answer. But if not, the next step is to read the final sentence. You read the topic and the final sentence, then everything is the same. Consider the keywords, match the keywords ideas with those in the list of headings, and then eliminate. All right? But there might be a couple of paragraphs where even this is not enough, where you might actually have to read the whole thing. Because again, different levels of difficulty, there might be a couple of paragraphs that are on the much harder end of the spectrum. And those are the questions that determine whether you're 7, 8, or whatever. So there might be situations where you do have to read the full thing. That's what I'm going to ask you to do now. I'm going to ask you to quickly read the entire paragraph, again, paying attention to keywords. This time I'm going to give you 30 seconds. All right, guys, ready? 30 seconds. Let me know when you're done again. This is the paragraph. 30 seconds starting now. All right, guys, time's up. Where's the main idea here? What is overall, what is the paragraph about? Breaks, exactly. And I think one of the most important pieces of information is after you've been keen for 60 minutes, like you guys are saying, what does it say? What should you do? Right. 10 minutes, have a 10-minute change of activity. So I think maybe the main part is in the middle. All right, we've identified again what this paragraph is about and where maybe the key information is. Let's try this with one last question. Again, guys, remember we said after 60 minutes, change of activity. Is there one heading that jumps out at you? I'll give you 10 seconds again before I'll put up the last poll question. All right, can I get the last poll question up, please? Excellent job in the chat box. Maybe guys give you 20 seconds to put your answers in the poll, otherwise in the chat box. Is there one option that jumps out at you? Excellent. Can I see the results, please? 70% of you have picked 2, and almost everybody in the chat box as well. Let's check, because here says, how long should I work without a break? And that's exactly what this paragraph answers. So how long should you work without a break? Based on what we read in the paragraph, how long should you work without a break? 60 minutes, because after 60 minutes, is it advisable to change the activity? Excellent job, guys. The answer is E. So in this situation, again, we cross it out. What did we do? This was our final option. We read the whole paragraph. Because we needed to, we again consider the keywords, scan the headings for those keywords, try to match them, and eliminate the option you choose. But guys, did we have to read the whole paragraph in the previous examples? Did we have to read the whole paragraph? No. The first one, we managed to find it just by reading the first sentence. The second one, first and last. Just this one, we had to read the whole thing. We don't want to waste our time reading the whole paragraph, all of the paragraphs, because it's not necessary. Only when it's absolutely required. I would call this the nuclear option, because this is only necessary for the most difficult paragraphs. Because it takes a little bit of time, but what advantage do we have? Because the first one, we only read the first sentence and we found the answer. We saved a whole bunch of time. Did we not? Did we not save a whole bunch of time because we answered that one in like 5 seconds? And now that time that we saved, we can use for the more difficult paragraphs. The one we can invest that time to read the ones that maybe where you have to read a little bit more. All right, guys. So let's check. Let's recap what we did. Remember, we talked about surveying the passage title diagrams, just like we did with the beneficial work practices. Always make sure you eliminate any headings used as an example. So make sure, because that's already been used, so make sure you eliminate that heading so you don't get confused. Then what did we say? Skim the topic sentence. Take a note of the keywords and the margin. Read the options, underlining to find a match. If this doesn't work, if the first sentence doesn't work, what do? That's always our first option, to just read the first sentence. If that doesn't work, what do? If the first sentence doesn't work, then we read exactly. Read the final sentence. Hopefully that should be enough. If that doesn't work either, what's the nuclear option? The last option, the final option, is to read everything like I'm saying. This is the option you want to avoid. You might have to do it once or twice, but this is, like I said, the last option where you read the whole paragraph. You repeat the same thing for every paragraph or section. Make final choices as you read more of the text, and be careful when transferring answers. Make sure you use a Roman numeral. Gabriela's saying like a video game. Exactly. But guys, I know, don't worry right now about getting your answers right or wrong. Do you think this would work as a strategy with a little bit of practice? I think this will make it much easier. Like I said, keep in mind that you need to figure out what the central idea is, and then work like this systematically. Again, it might be the first time you're doing something like this, so don't worry if you're getting answers are right or wrong, because it's difficult to master a new technique on the first attempt. But once you start practicing, I think this will make it much, much easier. A lot of my learners are very scared when they see matching headings, but I actually think the opposite. I think it's helpful to get matching headings first, because matching headings will always be the first set of questions. And if you're able to answer all of the matching heading questions, what have you basically done? You have figured out how the passage is structured. You know which information is where. So when you look at the next set of questions, doesn't it become easy? Let's say you get multiple choice next, or true false next. You don't have to worry, because you already know what is inside each paragraph. You know how the paragraph is structured. So does that make sense? I think it makes it much easier for the following set of questions. All right, great job, guys. Let's now move on to summary completion. there's actually two types of summary completions. One is where you're given multiple choice options. So the options are given. And the other one is where you have to take words from the text. And this is the one we're going to focus on today, where you have to take words from the text to fill it in the summary. Again, guys, let's start from the very beginning. What's our first reading skill we need to employ? What's the first reading skill we need to employ or use? Surveying, exactly. Before we skim, we survey. So this is the text we're going to be working with. Don't worry too much about, it might seem a little small. Don't worry too much about what's inside each paragraph. Let's just survey first, which means look at the title. What do you think this title is? What do you think this title is referring to? Electroreception. You'll also see a picture next to it. What do you think this passage is going to be about? Electroreception. Sharks. Okay, it might be partly about sharks, but I think it's mainly about electroreception. Gabrielle is saying electrical waves, sharks perception, sensory adaptation. Patience is saying currents in the water. Anna saying how animals communicate with electricity. Any one of those ideas. Excellent. We see a picture of a shark, so maybe we know that it's related to sharks somehow. And how many paragraphs do you see? How many paragraphs are there? 8 paragraphs. Excellent. Now, normally, guys, the next step would be to skim, where you would read the first and last sentence of each paragraph and figure out what each paragraph contains. That's fine. Right now, what I would like to do, though, is jump straight to the summary completion, the summary that we want to complete. I want you to skim read this very quickly. Just take a look at the first and last sentence. What is this paragraph? What do you think the summary is about? What do you think the summary is about? Just take a look at the first and the last sentence. Let me know in the chat box. Shark attacks, sharks, how sharks might attack humans. Good. And as you can see, that's exactly what it says up here. Shark attack. So we want to figure out, so this summary is about shark attacks. Now, we want to figure out which part of the passage contains information about this. What makes more logical sense, to read everything or to find the part that's related to shark attacks? Obviously the second option, right? Find the part related to shark attacks. And that's exactly what I'm going to ask you to do now. Let's do this as a race. Let's see who's the first person to find the part of the passage related to sharks and shark attacks. I'm going to show you the passage again, the whole entire passage, with just the first and last sentences highlighted. And I want you to help me to figure out where it mentions sharks. Take a look, guys. Where does it mention sharks? Excellent, Maria, Praveen. F. That's the first mention of sharks. So, so do you think it's a good use of time for me to read paragraphs A, B, C, D, and E? Is that a good use of time? Is that an efficient use of time? Absolutely not, because I'd just be wasting my time, because it's got nothing to do with that. So I want to focus on paragraphs F and afterwards. And guys, this is an important thing to keep in mind. With summary completion questions, it's almost always a summary of a certain part of the passage, not the whole passage. It's usually about a certain part. So the first thing you need to do is locate the part that you need to read in more detail, just like we just did. So F and so let's go back to the summary. And the other thing that we can do, the advantage that we have with summary completion, is we have a context. We have information that we can use to figure out two things: the type of word we're looking for. Are we looking for a noun? Are we looking for an adjective? Are we looking for a number, a body part? And the key words that we can use to find in the text. Again, we don't want to read, we found paragraphs F and G, but we don't want to read the whole paragraph. We want to be very specific and read just the parts that are related to the answer. And we can use keywords to do that. Find the keywords in the summary. Use those as what I call anchor points. You know, when you're in a boat, you drop an anchor so your boat doesn't go too far. So it's like you're dropping an anchor in the text, and you're just going to go read around that anchor point to find the answer. Let's do it. Let's do the first one together. So it says shark is a very effective hunter. Firstly, it uses its blank to smell its target. What is the keyword that we're going to hunt for? Just like sharks hunt, what are we going to hunt for in the text? Excellent. Smell. And what type of word are we looking for? Smell and target, you guys are saying. Excellent. But what type of word are we looking for? Exact. A noun. But can we be more specific? Can we be more specific? What type of noun? Maybe a nose, maybe a body part, something that belongs to the shark. Great job, guys. You'll see paragraphs F and G up on your screen right now. Can you help me find smell? Where does it say smell? Where does it say smell? In paragraphs F or G. The fifth line. Keen sense of smell. Excellent. This is our anchor point. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds to read around that word. Just read that sentence. Let me know once you're done. Just read around that sentence. Good. So what are we, remember we're looking for a body part or something that's part of a shark that it uses to smell. So what's the correct answer? Is it the brain? Be careful. 2/3 of the brain is devoted to, remember you have a keyword, it's. Excellent. Olfactory organs. Right? That's what it uses because 2/3 of the brain is devoted or is classified as helping with smell. That's why their smell is so great. It's so amazing because 2/3 of their brain is used for olfactory organs. Great. Let's look at the next one, guys. When the shark gets close, it uses blank to guide it towards an accurate attack. What are the keywords we're looking for in number 11? What are the keywords we're going to hunt for like sharks in the text? Close, definitely. And what else? Accurate attack. Great job, guys. Gets close and accurate attack. Can you find these in the passage? What are the find those keywords that have the same meaning in the passage. The next sentence says proximity, which means close, and accurate attack, precise strike. Good. So what are we looking for? It uses something to guide itself towards an accurate attack. So read that sentence, please. 10 seconds to read that sentence. Perfect. You guys are giving me the answers in the chat box. What does the shark use as a guide? What's the keyword that's linked between use? Tunes into. The answer is electric signals. Excellent job. So guys, can I ask you, I'm going to try to shut up for 2 minutes. I want you to do the same thing and answer questions 12 and 13. Locate the keywords in the summary, find the link in the text, read around those words, think about what type of word is missing. Can I ask you to do it on your own without any help? Awesome. Questions 12 to 13. I'll give you 2 minutes and then we'll go over the answers together. 2 minutes. I'm going to try to shut up. Your time starts. Excellent, Daniel. Daniel took 10 seconds. One minute left. Great job in the chat boxes. In the chat box, great answers. Ten seconds left. All right, guys, time's up. Let's go to, let's look at number 12. It says humans are not popular food sources for most sharks due to their. So what does this mean? That means sharks don't particularly like eating humans, and we're trying to find the reason why, right? So where did you find that in the text? Where does it talk about that? Where does it compare humans to something else? Some of you are saying taste. Are no? Are they not? Are humans not popular because of their taste? I don't think so. Where does it say that? It's compared with seals. Why do sharks like eating seals? Why do sharks like eating seals? Because they're softer and plumper. That's why sharks like eating seals. Humans are not soft and plump. What do humans have? Sinewy muscle. Excellent. We're looking for the reason why sharks don't particularly like, or humans are not as popular when it comes to being food sources for sharks. So the answer is sinewy muscle, because they do not compare well. Great job. What about number 13? It says, once the shark has bitten a human, a repeat attack is highly possible, as salt from the blood increases the intensity of the blank. What is the key phrase that you need to look for in the passage? What are the key words? Some of you are saying feeding frenzy, but be careful. I think salt from the blood that's what it says in the summary. Does it say something close to that in the passage? It says salt in the blood right here. So if you read that sentence, it says increases the intensity. What is the link here between increases the intensity and the passage? Where does it talk about increasing something? Heightened. Exactly. What is heightened? If you read the sentence, it says the force of the electric field is heightened. So that is the correct answer. And I think almost everybody got this. Great job. So the answer is electric field, because that is what is being heightened. So guys, let's take a look at my answers again. Is everybody happy? Lewin, it's not feeding frenzy. It's the perfect setting for a feeding frenzy, but the feeding frenzy is not what is intensified. Good, so is everybody happy with my answers? Shantorn is not. Take a look at my answers again. And almost everybody's saying yes, but be careful. Guys, look at question number 13. What did I write down? Some of you saying you're super happy, but look at what I wrote down for question 13. I wrote down electric fields, but what does it say in the passage? Electric field. So is electric fields correct? Would it be marked correct if I put the S? No, because if you look at the instructions, it says words from the passage. You have to write down exactly what's in the passage. It's almost like a copy paste. So unfortunately, if you write down electric fields, even though it's the correct answer technically, because you've added an extra S, it would be marked wrong. So your spelling, be careful about spelling and be careful about grammar. Now guys, in one of my classes, somebody said, why can't I write down force of the electric field? One of my learners wrote down, increases the intensity of the the force of the electric field. Why is that wrong? Why would that be marked wrong? Excellent. Zuite said, if you look at the instructions, no more than 3 words. Force of the electric field is 5 words. So you have to write down, you have to be careful about the instructions. People lose very silly and avoidable marks because they don't read the instructions. Kumar is saying, it's instructions are very important. They're vital to getting. the marks that you're supposed to get. Teresa's saying you didn't read the instructions. Your mistake. Yes, you have to pay attention. All right, guys. So we answered all of the questions. So let's quickly summarize what we looked. Let's summarize the summary completion. Again, we talked about serving the passage title diagrams, just like we did electroreception, look at the diagram, look at the number of paragraphs. Then what you would do is skim the summary, identify what type of information is it. Denise, yes, sorry if I'm not calling out names because the names are going really fast. You identify what type of information is missing. Is it a noun? Is it a verb? Is it a body part like we looked at? Once you've identified the keywords, scan the text for your starting point. Because it might be the whole passage, but it's usually just a portion of it. Guys, let me go back to this for a second. What did you notice about the way the answers showed up? What did you notice about the way the answers showed up? In order, exactly, Luciana, Therese. And in the summary, in almost all of the completion questions, the answers will come in order. So if you find the starting point, it makes it very easy to figure out where to move next. Underline or highlight the keywords around each gap. Those are the keywords that you will then scan for. Those are your anchor points. Because again, guys, out of those 8 paragraphs, how many paragraphs did we focus on? Out of those 8 paragraphs, how many did we focus on? Only 2. Out of those 2 paragraphs, did we read everything? No. How many sentences did we read in those 2 paragraphs? About 4 sentences. The sentences that were directly related to the answer. And that's what's going to save you time. That's how you're going to be able to complete the test in an hour. So you're not unnecessarily reading more the entire passage. Read around those words to find the exact words to complete the summary. Remember, exact words. When completed, check the summary again to make sure it works grammatically and that it makes sense. So again, guys, with a little bit of practice, achievable. If you practice using this strategy and technique, Gabriella is saying yes. Raquel, I promise you, with a little bit of practice, this will become much easier. Let me now see if there's any questions that you guys have. Before we do that, guys, let me just show you our schedule for upcoming webinars. These are our last 2 webinars for 2022 before we take a break for Christmas, and we're going to start again in January. But next week, we're going to be looking at writing task 2, and the week after that, vocabulary for IELTS, collocations and idiom language. Mariana's popped the registration link in the chat box. So guys, like I said, the last 2 for 2022 before we start a fresh cycle again in 2023. This is the information about the self-study pack I told you about at the beginning. It's basically a compilation of sort of links and resources that you can use to start practicing for the test on your own. So you'll get access to 8 webinars that you see on the left. An example of the reading webinar is on the right. Mariana is going to pop the link in the chat box again. And let me jump to the Q&A now. But before I do that, guys, could you please let us know what you liked about this webinar, because it really helps us to put these things together. So please let us know what you liked. And can somebody help me with the...
Hi, Yasser.
Hi, Leila.
There's a very popular question asked by Lucia, Kumar, Adaobi, Diana, Zhu Si Chang as well. And you touched on this, but a quick reminder maybe.
Sure.
For the matching headings, how do you know when to either read the first or last sentence and when to read the whole paragraph?
You know when you find the answer, basically. So guys, there's no fixed strategy. It's not like the first paragraph you're going to read the first one, second paragraph first, then second one. What you need to do is go step by step. Read the first sentence and see if you can find the answer. If you can find the answer, you don't need to read anything else. If you still can't find the answer, the next option is to read the last sentence. Then try to find the answer again. If that still doesn't work, then the whole paragraph. And again, remember, there are differing levels of difficulty. So reading the whole paragraph, you don't have to do it for all of them. There will be answers that you will be able to get just from the first sentence. So it's not like first paragraph, one sentence, second paragraph, first and last sentence. It might change, but you just need to go step by step until you find the answer.
Thanks, Yasser. A couple of technical questions about the test on computer.
Sure.
Johan is asking, can I use Control-C and Control-V to copy and paste from the article to answer the question?
Yes, I believe you can. You will. Those two shortcuts work. So you can Control-C, you can Control-V, copy paste your answers. Probably the best way to make sure you don't make any sort of spelling or mistakes, or you're taking words directly from the text. But be careful, guys. A lot of people sometimes think they can use Control-F, which is the command you use to find words. Control-F does not work, but you can copy and paste.
And a couple of people have asked, how do they cross out the headings in the computer, the test on computer?
Okay, so guys, before I answer that question, thank you for giving your feedback. If you haven't, please let us know what you liked about this webinar. It really helps us to put these together. When you do the IELTS on computer, guys, and I'm going to show you a resource that you can use, a familiarization test. When you do the matching headings on computer, you're actually dragging and dropping. So you'll drag the option and put it on top of the paragraph. So you don't actually have to cross it out because it's not going to be there anymore. So you'll drag it onto the other side, and then you won't have it, or where the question is. So where it says section A or paragraph A, you'll drag it next to it, and then you don't have to. It's all like automatically eliminating itself.
Thanks, Yasser. A question about the test on paper. Should you use uppercase or lowercase when answering the questions?
So that case is not something that is assessed. So you can write uppercase, you can write lowercase. Some people like to write in block letters because it's clearer than what is written. The example I give is when you fill in an official form, they usually ask you to write in block letters so it's clear. So some people like doing that to make sure that it's clear, and maybe people with handwriting issues can also write in block letters. But it's not assessed per se, whether it's uppercase or lowercase.
Thanks. Riviera is asking, how is the summary completion about a specific paragraph or paragraphs, or can it be about the whole text?
It can be, but usually, so almost always about a specific part of the paragraph. It's very rare that's going to be about the entire thing. It's usually about a specific paragraph or a specific part of the text. So a paragraph, couple of paragraphs. So that's one of the techniques, is being able to locate the starting point.
Thanks again. I'm just scrolling through to see if there are any other questions. So Julia is asking, should we read first all of the headings and then skim the text, or the other way around?
I think if you look at all the headings first, you might end up confusing yourself, because remember, there are more headings than are required. And if you look at the headings first, you don't have a context. So I think it's better to go paragraph by paragraph and then look at the paragraph, then look at the headings.
Thanks. And I think that might be it. I think the others we can handle.
Okay, cool, awesome. I think we have a little bit more time to talk about the resources. Guys, again, thank you for your feedback in the chat box. If you hadn't already, please let us know what you liked. It does really help us to put these things together. Let me quickly tell you about some really helpful resources. Arguably the most important one is takeielts.org. Everything that you need in order to prepare for the IELTS test, all the support material, free practice test, detailed information about the format, including what skills are being tested. So for example, the thing that we discussed about matching headings is what they're testing is your ability to find out the central idea of each paragraph. So you will find information like this about each of the task types on takeielts.org. Also, if you're planning on taking the IELTS on computer, you'll have the opportunity to do free IELTS and computer familiarization tests. So you can see what it feels like. Mariana is very helpfully popping these links in the chat box as I speak. Guys, if I didn't get a chance to answer your question, or there's a question that pops up in your head after we're done, please join our Take IELTS official Facebook page. You can ask whatever questions you want on there. One of our experts will be more than happy to answer it for you. They have live sessions where you can interact with experts directly. Lots of tips, really helpful resource. In terms of online resources, Road to IELTS is very comprehensive. It has practice tests, interactive activities, tips on question types. You can get access to a free component, a certain number of hours, by just logging onto the site. If you register to take the IELTS with the British Consul, one massive advantage is you'll be given sort of access to more hours on Road to IELTS. And if you want to buy the complete package, you can purchase the whole thing. The IELTS Prep app is something you can download right now for free. It's available on the Google Play Store and the Apple Store as well. It'll give you instant access to practice tests, grammar exercises, and quizzes, and also exclusive access to 4 extra complete IELTS practice tests with model answers that are not available anywhere else. You will have to purchase these 4 tests, but like I said, they're exclusive to the app. There's a whole range of books and study guides available. Anything printed by the Cambridge University Press is amazing, but specifically the official Cambridge IELTS test series. These are official tests that have been used in the past, so the best way to practice. IELTS 14, 15, 16, I think it's up to 17. So authentic tests that have been used in the past, the best way to practice. Kumar is saying they've downloaded the app and it's been really helpful. I would encourage everybody to download it as well. And for general grammar guys, learnenglish.britishconsul.org is an amazing resource. Practice exercises, explanations of grammatical concepts that you can then apply. Thanks. Deep breath, guys. Thank you. That brings us to the end of this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you found it useful. Again, don't worry too much about getting answers right or wrong. Just keep practicing with these techniques, and I promise you will make a huge difference. Remember, next week we're going to be looking at writing task 2, so I hope to see you guys there. Please stay safe. Keep washing your hands. Thank you for your feedback, and see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.